Joel thought he was going to be in Toronto, so he's scrambling to get his files in order, and so he can have something to show you. But so he had to stop at Warner Brothers this morning to pick up his dongle because he didn't have it with him. So there you go. Anyway, so let's start with Rob, and he can talk. He actually brought some models and all of that too. So let him open up. And he's already mic'd, so I can just put this away.
Hi. Oops, I'll get away from that. Rob Woodruff, I know some of you out there. Nice to see you. I am a horrible presenter and always very nervous in front of people. I like working in front of the computer in my own little, 2 cubic foot world. So, excuse me for being nervous, but I brought just images of some of the stuff that I've worked on. I brought some kind of drafting things because I know that's primarily what we all do. Where is preview? Oh, it's opening in some separate windows. But this is an Oshkosh truck that I modeled for The Dark Knight. Oops, it's running. It was originally a model that I found on the SketchUp warehouse. FormZ imports from SketchUp. I then traced over it and fixed a lot of the geometry, which I had, the original geometry was kind of messy. FormZ created much cleaner geometry for me to work with. Then I created drawings from that. You know what? Actually, I'm going to have to, this is not, they're not in the order that I had at home, so. These drawings were created with an earlier version, which was where you just generate a hidden line and then import it into a document space. Pretty standard, the kind of things that we're used to seeing. This is for Divergent. I modeled it, textured it, and rendered it. These renderings are from Maxwell Render, which is a plugin that's available for FormZ. You can do all your modeling, and then it's one of the rendering options. You just click on it, and it fires up in the background and renders nice kind of photorealistic renderings. And I like to include those on my drafting a lot just to help to show what the objects look like. These are more kind of standard drawings that the kind of stuff that we typically do, pretty straightforward stuff. These were rendered from a model. Let's see. Do this a little different way.
Are we looking at rendered views or drafted views?
These are drafted drawings.
So they're not model shots?
These are shots of the model. They're where I took the camera, went straight on with orthographic view, so there's no perspective, and did a hidden line rendering and just imprinted that on the page. Nowadays, that kind of stuff is automated with the example that Matthew showed you earlier, where you set up a frame and you tell each frame where you want it to cut a section, or if you want a top view or a side view. It creates a hidden line rendering, imports that into the document. These that I'm showing now were all basically the same process, but they were done manually rather than the new version, which is where it's all automated. And then you can see you can drag images from the rendered model into the document space so that they're there as well. Does that answer your question, kind of? Mm-hmm. The nice thing about the new version is that because it's linked to the model, if you modify the model, it will modify the drawings as well. And you do, I think, Matt, you can correct me, I don't do too much of it currently, but dimensions and things like that, if they're associated, they will adjust as well. If they're not associated, then you can go in and adjust as you need to. But it's a real time saver, the automated process. So this is a model that I textured and rendered, textured in FormZ, and then I just exported to Maxwell for rendering. And the drawings are of these facades because this was an existing location in Chicago. And we built out 3 feet with period facades because this was for Public Enemies, where I think Dillinger was shot in this Biograph theater back there. Another shot with the same thing.
What file format do you export to Maxwell?
I just send it directly from FormZ. Within FormZ, the different renders are available, and Maxwell is one of the options. So it's kind of like one button. Once you've set up your materials and your lighting, which are materials as well, you just hit the render button, and it sends it over to Maxwell. It's which is a separate program, and it renders within Maxwell in the background. And then I'll go back into FormZ and work while it's creating its images. So let's see. This is a little quick prop that I did. They have this plastic container. This was for reshoots on Divergent. I was on for a couple of weeks just doing kind of little bits and pieces. They had this plastic container, and they wanted it to become a container, like a safety container for these little ampules of medicine. And they wanted to see how it worked. So just using the section tools, you can cut through an object. In FormZ, the objects are all assigned attributes. So you can assign a line weight to an object and colors for where you cut through it. And you can do hatching patterns so that when you cut through objects, each object can have a separate hatching pattern. And as you pull the cutting plane, which is a live object, you can either see the whole object or section it at any portion, and it'll have all the hatching and line weight already generated from the objects that you modeled, and all that will show up in your drafting environment as a live window. So it takes a lot of the manual labor out of the process, and then you can go in and just add your notations and dimensions and title block and kind of move forward quickly from there. I have some animations. They're kind of crappy, pardon my language, but I'm showing them because they're really quick and dirty, which is really nice to have. This is from 1000 AE, the film where they had a crashed spaceship in a little gorge, and I had sectioned the rocks. But what this video was for was Sally Thornton had done the drawings of the model that I model. We work as a team quite often, and the drawings for the steel guys showed the tubing. Each tubing one at a time, but it was very hard to read what the object looked like. So this was for the welders on stage, the steel guys. It gave them something that they could take on their laptop, and if they needed to see how something related to something else, this kind of crummy little video, which was very quick and easy to generate, gave them a very good understanding of what they were doing. And I do those a lot, especially like for television when there's not a lot of time. Rather than sending somebody a bunch of images, is that going full? You can just send them a little video. Like I emailed this to the production designer, she forwarded it to the director. He got an idea of what the set was going to look like. Everything was approved, everybody was super happy. These animations were completely created within FormZ just using OpenGL screen grabs, although with FormZ you can also render these in a number of different manners, including their built-in render zone, and then also you can export this to be rendered in Maxwell. So you can have a very high quality animation if you have the time to do the rendering. What else was I going to say? So, and these are very easy to set up. You basically just draw a spline path of where you want the camera to go, and say what kind of rendering format you want, and hit go, and it generates frames, which you can either then compile in like Preview or something into a movie, or it'll actually generate a movie file directly from FormZ if you don't have external tools to work with. Here's another one that's this was for The Dark Knight also. And it was a piece of lab equipment to scan a brick that had a bullet embedded in it. So this was a concept designed just to kind of sell to the director for this piece of equipment that Bruce Wayne had in his lab that was supposed to look like something that he had, kind of built at home technology. And this was rendered in Render Zone in the built-in renderer. This is kind of just standard architecture. This was for a gentleman's house in Vegas. It was a billiard room, rendered in Maxwell. It's a little bit grainy because it was done quite a while ago with a slower machine, so I wasn't unable to let it process. But you know, very standard architecture, super quick to do in Form Z. You know, this is a hidden line rendering that has been processed through some of the sketch rendering portions of Form Z. Form Z has a lot of artistic renders where you can take an existing rendered image and then do like paint effects on it or things. And it's kind of like the sliders. You can adjust the style of the illustration by adjusting, you know, parameters in a options window. This is a hidden line that has like a hand-drawn kind of thing with, you know, the lines extended past certain lengths. You can have it do multiple lines to have it look more sketchy. But if somebody wants something that looks hand-done, that's, you know, purely digital in its origin, it's all possible within Form Z as well. More architecture. This is a bathroom that was modeled and textured in Form Z and then rendered in Maxwell. Different variations of materials and lighting. This was for Eagle Eye. It's a drone, built-in Form Z, just the native render zone renderer. This was for Transformers. It's a drone. Most of this is NURBS shapes, but then some of the simple ACIS smooth geometry also, which is very quick to generate. Another one from the Dark Knight and Department, rendered in Maxwell. And the Bat, which this was a large-scale model. It was about 3 feet long that was fabricated for the design process. And then I used a photogrammetry software to photograph it, and then using multiple camera angles in the software, I was able to pull points off in 3D. Those I then imported into Form Z to create all the surfaces and to be able to then make everything nice and flat and true, because as with any kind of LiDAR scan or you know, point import, reality, things are not very square and true. So I just use it as a guide, but I use a lot of different kinds of software, but everything always ends up back in Form Z because I have the most flexibility and the most tools to be able to work with different types of data from different places. So these are just more of the Bat. And then these files were exported you know, to visual effects. They were exported to special effects that did all the manufacturing. A lot of the files were used directly for you know, laser cutting, water jet cutting, that kind of you know, processes. This is the explosive from that same film. There were little timers in this. That's a caliper. These parts here were, of course, all modeled in Form Z, and they had to be extremely precision because we had these parts milled and grown by an outside vendor. They fabricated these parts, and then they fit into the whole of the sphere. Everything fit together very nicely, but these were all built to within tolerances of thousandths of an inch because they all had to fit together. And of course, using the snapping capabilities of Form Z, that was very, very easy to accomplish to ensure that the geometry was very precise. I mean, I think Matthew showed a lot of the more sculptural aspects, the possibilities that you can do with Form Z, but it is also very much a nuts and bolts mechanical program where you can generate, you know, very, you know, realistic machined objects. This is an aircraft interior for the Dark Knight for the opening sequence, just for we were cheating the size of the aircraft, and this was a rendering to make sure that the cheat was not was still believable. This is old Fantastic Four stuff, laboratory equipment and exteriors. These were rendered in Cinema 4D. Once again, with all the import and export options that Form Z offers, it's very easy to share data. So at the time I was using Cinema, this was years and years ago, 2006, I was using the renderer from that package in it, and it was really easy to send the information back and forth between the different software. This was for Ghost Hunter television on the backlot of build into the existing backlot location for a bar and a restaurant, and they were rendered in Maxwell. This was oh, I'm forgetting. This was from the same show. It was a show that was started up and then went down for a couple of months and then restarted with an entirely new art department. So none of these things were ever built, which is, I think, true for a lot of us. So this is all NURBS, primarily NURBS fabrication. More standard architecture. This is an interior from that. This was kind of a mixture ancient city for a proposal for a project. And these foreground buildings I modeled very quickly using the new FormZ's tools where you can just kind of push and pull, do outlines to make the holes. It was super quick to create all of this geometry. This is John Carter of Mars. We built a city out in Utah in the desert, and these were renderings of the individual structures. This was for John Carter of Mars as well. I received an existing model from Ryan Church of this tower with these arms, and then I remodeled those because they were polygonal coming out of my eye. Rebuilt them as NURBS, and then the structure in the center was something that I created based off a photograph of a bird landing on water with all its feathers sticking out, and kind of very complex shapes that they were, not too much of a challenge in FormZ. This was for the artist. They wanted to see, once again, backlot, an edition of the pediment on top and the poster to see what that was going to look like, a little previs. This is for an earlier version of Moneyball, measured the stadium up in Oakland and then built a model. This model I modeled it in FormZ in pieces, in sections, because it was for a real miniature. It was about 6 or 7 feet across that they wanted to have in the film as a prop. So while it looks like a solid piece here, it was modeled in individual sections so they could build the sections and have it all kind of come apart for the scene. A more ancient village, this one, Babylon. And then this was for a show that is put on mothballs right now. It was Sumerian time period 2500 BC, so I did some chariots. The horses, once again, are from SketchUp Warehouse, and the figures are from Poser. Everything imports, easily and nicely. This was for a pilot. Is a solid wood coffin and model in FormZ. Pretty simple model, but then using Maxwell with displacement, I was able to make the type look like it was sunk into the wood, although there's no geometry there. It's a simple rendering trick possible with Maxwell materials. Just another view of that. And a little blade that was supposed to represent the 3 major religions, Judaism and Islam and Christianity, in a weapon. More old stuff, Doc Ock fusion machine. There were 2 fusion machines in this show, both of which I modeled. This is the one from the ending, and then did numerous drawings of these objects where I just pull each part off one at a time, do 3 views of it, adjust the line weights, do a quick rendering of the part, and then out the door it goes. Some more little props from the same little exterior. This is from The Island. Sean Hallworth did the design for this and gave me the idea of what he wanted. I modeled it in FormZ, rendered natively with RenderZone. And once again, this was sent out for fabrication, so everything had to be milled very precisely, and that was not a problem at all. More stuff for The Island. Some of this stuff is, a lot of what I do is as you guys know, generated from other people. And I forget who did the concept sketches for these. I wish I could give them credit, but I think I just did the modeling on this stuff. This is from a very early concept work for Transcendent with Wally Pfister directing, and I just was doing some early versions of that. Once again, objects from warehouse imported into the Form Z file works great. The exterior of that, like with the crane and the building outside, those are real geometry outside the window, and you'll see, like in some of the exteriors, they create nice illustrations because you can set up a camera anywhere and get, you know, really quick results. I think that's it. Here's another like interior from the same show. I think that's it for that. Oh, and then the 3D printing stuff. This is a Gothic Nouveau cabinet that I did, and originally it's shown with a taper here. I originally built this as a single object. It has lots and lots of faces. Everything is smooth curves. Most of it's Boolean together. It's just a couple of objects. But after I'd been working on it for quite a while, the person I was getting direction from said that they wanted to taper the entire cabinet. And so just using deform tools, I was able to take the entire group of objects all together and just taper the whole thing by a couple of degrees, and it gave them a look that they liked. So this is line drawings of the same object for drawing, you know, standard elevations. This is, oh, and the model is here. I brought a grown version of it in because it was a clean solid. It was, you know, it was able to be grown pretty easily. And I have a small printer that prints a 5-inch cube maximum size. So a lot of the times what I'll do is make individual objects and then just glue them together. This is an example of it's a compressor on a ship. And I did the same kind of photogrammetry, took a lot of photographs of it, took points from those photographs, imported them into Form Z, created all the geometry in Form Z, exported all the parts, did drawings with renderings, and then I grew a little model. And there's some samples up here. You guys are free to take a look. This is something I just did for Halloween. It's a little grave, little crypt and fence, and I grew that as well. So that's on the table up here too. And once again, these are Maxwell renderings, which, you know, is a button away from export out of Form Z. So that's basically the stuff that I threw together for today. But you're free to take a look. Like, here's the this is that little compressor pump, and this is it's a number of little pieces that have been glued together because with this type of printer, it builds a structure underneath to support the plastic as it's growing. It can't do cantilevers. So to be able to break off that support structure easily, it was easier to have it be separate parts. But you guys can hand that around. I think this is going to start showing up more and more. I keep getting calls from people who are asking me what kind of printers to buy. I have 2 of them on my desk in my office. I just bring to the shows now. They're like this big, and they're less than $1,500 a piece. The material is super cheap. And it's really great to be able to give something to somebody that they can handle. I mean, it's nice to have an illustration, and having models in the computer are really great, but a lot of designers and stuff have frustration with looking over your shoulder. They can't rotate it the way they want. Having a model is really helpful, and I think this is probably going to, you know, grow and grow. You guys can handle this one around. This one's still, the panels are not glued in, so if they pop out, don't worry about that. But you can see the resolution, and these were possible because the geometry in Form Z is clean. I mean, other software will require a lot of stitching and gluing to make sure that you have a real solid. And most of the modeling, almost all the modeling I do, starts off as a solid because it's effortless in Form Z. It's no harder working with wall thicknesses than it is with working with surfaces for walls. I know a lot of people don't model in solids because it's more work, but in Form Z it's no more work. It's quite easy just to model the actual object as it is. And of course I model everything full scale, and then the drawings are scaled down to whatever they need to be. So that's some of the kind of detail that can be done. So that's it for me. You guys are
That's it for
welcome.
you. Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
So I don't like talking. So if you guys have any questions or
Any questions?
okay, good.
How long does the printer take to?
The printer, different printers are different speeds. The one that I have, like this large object, it's one. Each little pinnacle is a separate object. The roof and the base are 2 separate objects, and then the walls are like 8 objects. I would say each part of that probably took between an hour and a half, so maybe 8 to 10 hours growing. But with 2 machines, they're twice as fast. And I was on Interstellar. We were growing spaceships and parts for the models and little props and everything. And with 4 machines going, it was all I could do to keep up with them, because one was beeping and telling me that something was ready, and scraping it off the platform, and then loading a file, and the next one was done. And so with multiple machines, you can get quite a bit generated.
Magic. Fun. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What was the phototelemetry software you're using?
Photo modeler.
John?
Great.
I'm sorry. If you want to look at things that I've made in Form Z over the years, you can come up there and look at the book. But, I'm not here to show you my work, to tell you about me. I'm here to tell you about Form Z, because I've been working with Chris and his wife and since Form Z2. And I forget what year that was. It's probably getting close to 20 years ago that he started this company. And the great thing about us and Form Z is, most of these 3D companies that like Maya, Autodesk, and Cinema 4D and Rhino and all these other pieces of software that you can use, they're made by bigger companies, and the customer service is not going to be what it's like with Form Z. I mean, if you call them, they will fix your problem when you call them, 99% of the time. You don't have to call, and leave a message or send an email, or there's no phone number you can call. And the tool set, especially after Form Z7, is I don't know if it was intentional or if the thinking just all sort of strung into the same direction, but it's very much like the way Maya works now. With being able to split the surfaces and pull the surfaces out, and then the subdivisions, where you can round things and all that sort of stuff. And it's really, to me, as doing what we do, where it's like, conceptual to a degree, but then at some point it becomes a real thing. And especially now, are you waving at me? Oh.
Microphone.
Oh, they can't hear me on the tape.
I can't hear you. There you go.
Especially now, I would just say that there's nothing out there that's going to be what we need more than this tool. And I've been doing it, since 1985. And I've really looked. I've gone in a lot of different directions. I've used Macs, I've used PCs, and I've used a lot of different software. And this is really, and Adobe stuff is the only thing I've really stuck with. Can I just ask, how many people use Form Z? Not that many. When you pick a piece of software, it's a big decision. Because once you start learning something, you don't want to go back. And my big issue right now is I'm working on a bunch of stuff for a casino in China. It's a magic show. It's got a bunch of magic props. And the people who are running the architectural part of the thing and the mechanics part of it, they're using SolidWorks. And so my big challenge right now is to be able to use Form Z with SolidWorks. And up to this point, AutoCAD, everything else that I've worked with, it's always been pretty seamless. But the SolidWorks thing, we got to talk. because it uses a certain kind of file type, and it's what they call parametric modeling. And I know some Form Z has some parametric attributes, but this in SolidWorks, you can go back to the beginning of the thing that you drew 3 weeks ago and say you want to change the diameter of this piece. And after you've already done it, and it's already a huge complicated thing, you can just change that diameter. And so it's something that Form Z needs to pick up, and I think they will, because they're pretty good at listening, and they're pretty good at solving things. And that's what I would tell you, is I have no regrets about ever having started down this path. Sometimes, yes?
I bought the program a few months ago, and what I'm finding also that it's lacking is there's no book, there's no literature, and trying to find a class somewhere to go take it. I've been trying to learn it on my own, excuse me, but there is a lot of elements that I know I'm not getting. So that's the other thing that I'm thinking it's also lacking.
Well, it's pretty extensive online. Once you get past the initial website and you get into the manuals, and there's a lot. They're constantly making new video tutorials. Like there's a whole, like on subdivision surfaces, there's just one they put up a few weeks ago. It was really helpful for me to start to understand the whole way the subdivision surfaces work. Because it's all kind of it's Adobe-like in the sense that it's all the same. Once you kind of know how to figure out how to do one thing, it's pretty easy to figure out how to do the other things. It's just learning their pattern.
And there are links, and if you right-click on the tools, it'll bring up that portion of the manual. So if you ever have a question about exactly what you're working on, it's quite accessible.
And I feel like I've done that, and I feel like, or maybe I haven't tried it lately, but I feel like every time I do that, it just doesn't match what I'm seeing. And I don't know if the manual or the tutorials is from an earlier version. So that's where, and I don't know the program, so
Did
for
you
somebody,
get 8?
I have 7.
So, well, you could certainly, anybody who wants to call me, I'll give you my card. I can help you out. I actually wanted to maybe try to start off like a user group where maybe people who are doing it and if people want to learn about it could come once a month, and we
It
could.
also sounds like something that we need to incorporate into our class schedules. So that we do a class of it and then set up a user group. I think that's fabulous.
Anyway, so-
I'd be very interested in that. I mean, I live this program.
And forums, yes.
I live this program. I mean, it's my best friend. I'm with it, 8-10 hours a day, 5-6 days a week.
I think I've just converted to them too. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool 3D Vectorworks person, and I think I've just converted. Anyway, this is wonderful. Matt, here comes Oliver.
That's those files on
Taking a moment for Oliver to get his files together.
I'll free to contribute.
Doesn't exist. Hello. It's going to be very short because I frankly didn't prepare anything. Because I thought I would just drop by, and then I saw the email with the announcement, and I'm like, okay. So I'm really I've been using Form Z forever, and my website is not online for some reason. which is really great. I've been using it, I don't know how many years now. Before version 6, I think. There was a big jump when it went to version 7, and version 8 is really amazing to me because it just brought.
You probably don't have the password into the website.
No, it's my own website. I should.
No, for the internet in the building.
Oh.
You probably don't have it. See
Oh, yeah, it's not on.
up at the top, you're not connected to
Well, there's an Ethernet connection here. Is there?
No, I think you have to put click on that guy and put the Wi-Fi on and give him the password.
Here, let's see if I can show you something from here. So this all started for me really simple, with really simple models, and I was really happy and proud of them. And if this doesn't work, you can see the stuff on my website if the website works. So I hope this is. Oh, is this 7?
You opened 7, yeah.
But there's alias in the upper top left. You can launch that.
Okay. Okay, let's try that again. So this is like a really simple blocky thing I did for some illustrations. And it kind of goes together with what we were showing before, which is just this like rectangular-ish kind of modeling. And what's really cool, and this was some World War II Nazi whatever thing. You see it's your average kind of stuff, and it's really no problem to model this kind of stuff. And that was, I don't know, 6 years ago or so. And then I did this more fancy thing, because everybody was telling me at that time that you can't do organic shapes in Form Z, and I'm like, I don't believe that. And so I tried it, and again, this stuff is on my website. I hate to repeat myself. But this is when it gets a bit more involved, and you see this is like all NURBS modeling, this whole shape. It's hard to see, is it? Can you see this? Or?
Yeah.
So, as I'm not really prepared to go into details, this is pretty much all done with lofts and the NURBS surfaces, and maybe it would be better if you actually play around with the program at this point, and if you want to take some pieces. But anyway, it's a long process. I'm not, the way I model is more sloppy normally, because I really just model for getting something as a reference for an illustration. And so this kind of model is actually pretty tight, and it's not very typical for what I do, I hate to admit. But you see, it's like there's like no single straight piece here. And it's all MRIPS modeling. It's all done right in Form Z. So the thing that I can show you a bit more about is, as this just isn't, I guess my website is dead, is this thing. So here is, here's the idea. Actually, that's already some of the renders. It's was something for a book illustration that I wanted to do, and I had like done a sketch, like an idea sketch, and you see it's like blocked in with the pencil drawing, the ball pen drawing. Actually, it's all done on the computer, blocked in, and then I'm kind of posing. Once I've modeled the elements, I'm kind of posing them in there, and this was done in 8 now, and that's when I got really excited. Because maybe I can actually show you something here now. So this is like kind of showing a bit the progression. And that's what we saw before, is just the rectangular box model starting, and you start dividing it. And you can just get into more details with these things, and I'm just stepping through them. No, that's not enough. I'll open the model. So now you have the walking piece here, walking geometry. And this is at this point, I think it's sub D. Let me see if I can show you. Where is it? Where'd you put it?
It's on the desktop.
That's too easy. Okay. I don't see it. Is it?
It didn't switch over
It's
to the
not on the
desktop.
desktop yet.
Okay. Well, let me try this again. This is the one that's open. Just looks different than what I saw last time. 5, 6. Sorry guys about this. Promise if I ever do this again, it'll be organized. Okay. Let's see, look at this one. That's a bit further along, I think. Ooh. Okay, that's what I wanted. So this is like all the bells and whistles on, kind of. So this is actually the full thing that you saw before, with a section plane on, and I didn't add thickness to the pieces yet. But you see there's a person in there, which is always fun. Let me see if the clipping planes is on. So now it's off. And I mean, this is just like insane. When I started with Form Z, I was like happy to do the like rectangular boxes. This has been done in sub Ds, and it did really not take that long to get to the shape and actually manipulate the whole thing. So, what should I say? It's fascinating to me. I wish I could make a better pitch for you guys.
How did you edit that? Did you work primarily with the cage, or go back and forth?
I went back and forth. I did a lot of it. And I did the basic block, and I don't know if it's still in here. I'm concerned that if I turn the old stuff on, it's gonna be like no. I can't show it. I just built a rectangular box, transformed it into a wedge shape, and pulled a few pieces, and then went into the sub D and went back and forth to see the results between the box and the sub D surface. And and then you can really just pick pieces. And what I find is always tricky is like when you need to get to a mirror image of it. You can do it with an instance that gets updated and mirrored, but that's sometimes a bit buggy. I wish there was some kind of a mirror tool that is like a mirror modeling thing, like I've seen in a few other programs, where it just automatically does it left and right, symmetrical to a plane. But anyway, I'm not going to torture you longer on this. If you want to see some more Form Z stuff, I have some on my website, oliverscholl.com, and it's not working at the moment, so that's not a good day for me. But you see, I mean, what I'm really amazed about is you have all the simple tools, solid modeling. You can push things further and further and further. And with the addition, I wanted to buy Modo, frankly. I actually do have Modo, but I never got to learn it because I don't have the time. But with Form Z adding the sub-D modeling in it, there's no real reason for me to go into Modo just to get some of the attributes, some of the functionalities that you can get in that. And it's fun.
Yeah, I agree. I was using Modo quite a bit to do this type of thing, but now that it's available in Form Z8, and what else is really
and you can
benefit,
go back and forth.
Is that there's a converter where you can, in Modo, where you can convert to NURBS, but it's like $800 addition to the program, whereas with Form Z, it's just built in. It's one of the tools to be able to convert from one type of object to another, to a different kind, and then back and forth. I mean, it gives you a huge amount of flexibility because each type of model has different tools that can work on it. So it's complex. It's very complex.
I'm sorry, Oliver, your website's up, I've got it, but I think you don't have the password.
So it's not my website?
Yeah, I think you don't have the password on the interweb thing.
And the password is?
He does. He's
Select ADG guest, and that's what I'm.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry guys. Well, at least I saw some pieces. And so basically what I do is I model this in Form Z, obviously. I render it in Form Z too. And if I go back to that file, is there Photoshop on here? Yep. See if I can show you. And so in Photoshop, I just throw the stuff in, and then usually I paint over it again from the beginning. But I go back and forth, and the other good thing is what you can do is like to get the colors to match with the whole thing. You can, in Form Z, you can import like a version of this image with the background colors that doesn't have the model in it yet. You can import it and use it as the lighting the environment while you're rendering. And so you get the color reflections of the environment in the model. And when you then put the model into the illustrations, the colors are already much closer than before. Anyway, sorry, bye.
Actually, color, because everything we've seen this morning has been black and white. So how do you work with color? How do you work with color within Form Z?
Well, it's pretty much the standard, like in most of the applications. You have materials palette in Form Z, which is over here, and you can basically build your materials. There's a presets. Whoops, where is it? Is it anything coming up? So I need to go down here. So there's presets that you can select here in the library of either texture as of glass and materials. And so you can just go with one of those presets, for example this, And then you can go into the preset and you can say, well, I really don't like that color that much. I want to change that a bit. And you basically build your own library of what you need. And if you have that library, as Rob mentioned before, the best way to deal with it is to actually have like a template file where you have all your colors already set up and everything. And then, so when you open a new file, it's already there. Or if you open a file that's older, you can import those materials into the new file. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell from these images, but the Form Z renderer is exceptional.
Yeah.
It just renders them. I can't tell you how many jobs I've gotten because I've walked in with a Form Z rendering and somebody else has walked in with a marker sketch. They immediately they go yes. You know, it's on that level that other art directors in the past have asked me, how did you do that? You know, and I don't know. I don't want to tell you.
That's when you get into, yeah, that's basically these here. These are rendered out with it, but they're like nothing fancy here. But I mean, if you see these, the surface quality in these is pretty nice for the thing that went into it. It's like the wrong thing to do. Okay.
I'd love to see your website if you can connect to the.
Well, this good. The new stuff is not on there yet.
Because you have
But,
color stuff would be nice to see.
So are you?
I'm
that
going to stop.
Is that machine on the network? It is? Okay.
I don't know what it is. Anyway. Sorry, this was a bit improvised, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Your website for everybody who's in the room who didn't get a chance to see it is what?
oliverscholl.com.
oliverscholl.com.
Okay.
Thank you, and thank you for your improvisation.
You're welcome.
Chris and Matt, you want to come back and we can handle door prizes.
Well, I'd like to add a thank you also to the gentleman that did the presentations. We're lucky to have such users, and the stuff was very impressive, of course. It's not the first time I see their work. A little comment about the color. There is really more color from what you can see on this screen. Somehow it has been faded down. I was looking at the palette of the colors, and they look like gray and white.
They may have been on a grayer tone.
No, there's something wrong with it. Yeah, we were adjusting the contrast before.
Yeah.
There's
something
muted
was, something
yeah.
in the mute.
It's missing all the reds.
Yeah. Oh, very good. That could be the problem. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking at the logo right now. It's not. This looks white. So
it does, and it's very gold.
Yeah.
It's very gold. That's true. Well, I really want to thank you, both of you, for coming
And we ought to talk to you.
and working
You ever
with
pick
us.
up did you call us?
I did not.
Why didn't you?
Because I guess I'm used to other programs not, other companies not caring, so.
Form Z is great. It's a small company, and not even just on the phone, but the forum, just typing in, you'll get you can send a question, and within 2 or 3 minutes, you'll get an answer back. As fast as they can type, you'll get an answer. And if you're having a problem with a file, they have a secure server. You can send them the actual file or portions of it. Even the stuff we work on is all proprietary, and they'll fix it for you and send you back the repaired thing and an explanation of how you got there or how to avoid it.
Do
and
you
how
really
they
do
fix it.
that, Matt?
You really do.
All the time, right?
Yes, and John says the same thing, so there you go.
The support is fantastic with their company. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
and if there is an issue with the project that you're working on, you can send us just that one part that you're having trouble with, like you said, and then we'll help you out with that. And so you know, we kind of have to.
And then during non-business
Support it.
hours, there's a very active community, so if you have an issue, you know, when they're not there during the daytime hours, there's always somebody that will answer, and it usually takes a little bit longer, maybe an hour or so, but, you know, there's people that are just always on there to answer questions.
And you've got a Facebook page with a great bunch of tutorials going down. I just saw the Facebook page for
Tip of the week.
how? For a week?
Very hints,
Yeah.
not
Inside
complete
tips.
tutorial.
The tip of the week.
If you need
Question right behind you.
Matt, I wanted to ask,
kind of stuff.
it all looks great, but let's say you don't know the program, you want to buy it and learn it. Will you guys address kind of how that process works? Are you just on your own? Is there?
Yes, actually, I would love to address the question that you asked and the question that you asked, because it's sort
Okay,
of the same
please.
question. Give me just a minute here and I can show you if I launch Form Z. I'll make sure we're aware of the resources
You can start with
that are
the free
there.
version. It costs you nothing.
Right.
Admittedly,
can do all
it's
that on
not
my
very
own,
complete, but
where do I-
it gives
what's
you
the next
a
step?
sense of how,
Right.
and you can tell right away, it's a program for me or it isn't. That's the way it works with software. Everybody doesn't like all the programs.
Here's how you learn Form Z. When you first launch it, the very first time, you should see a Getting Started dialog that pops up. If you turn this off, of course, it won't show up anymore. But so in case that is off for some reason, just go to the Help pull down, and you can open up the Getting Started dialog. And in here is 3 files: Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. And what this does, it uses the scenes palette, which can be used for presentation purposes, but we use it for the step-by-step tutorials. And what you do is you go through each of the scenes. There's scene number 2, and there's number 3. You read what it says, and you do what it says. So it says, well, click on this tool, click on the modifier, click here, 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 and there you have a basic box. And you go to the next step, it says, okay, well, you can draw on top faces, so you do that. There's only 3 files. And there's not a whole lot of steps to those. If you cover all 3 of those Form Z files, you'll learn a lot, the majority of the introductory stuff to get you started. In addition to that, if you, someone mentioned this earlier, if you right-click on any tool, you click on the manual option, it'll take you right to that page. All of our documentation is online, so if you right-click on any tool, it'll take you right to that page. If you right-click on any specific tool and choose the View Video, there's a little video player that pops up. It's usually a few minutes long, shows you how to use that particular tool. We don't have videos for all the tools. We have them for the majority of tools. Probably over half the tools have videos. The ones that have videos are all of the core fundamental tools that are used most often. There might not be some videos for some of the more crazy tools, but those are coming. Those will be there soon. But anyways, right-click, View Video, you'll be there.
Matthew, most of those videos are also available on YouTube, right?
Yes, and I'm not
Not
sure.
just through the software. You
Yeah.
can browse and locate them.
But we don't have internet connection, so I don't know. I can't show you this, but yeah, we have a YouTube channel, so all of the tutorials that you access when you right-click on those tools, they're all in channels, and so you can actually watch them one by one. And if you go to our website, formz.com, we also have a bunch of webinars. They're 30-minute projects, and what will happen is it's less of a step-by-step tutorial, and it's more of a project workflow. But if you watch it, you can see what tools are being clicked. We try to do a good job of showing you step-by-step, but it's not like a step-by-step that you would actually do it yourself, but you can learn a lot from those. And we have each one covers a different aspect. One is layout, one is rendering, one is animation, and there's different. You just read the description; it'll give you some idea of what that webinar is for. And if you have any ideas on specific areas that you would like to see, send us an email or call us, whatever. We'd love to add some more webinars to our list and add those to the ones that are there. And those are all recorded that you can watch. Those are probably the fastest way to be able to get up to speed with the software.
I'd really like to see a tutorial of Paul making that dragon.
The dragon?
Yeah, that's a great model.
Yeah.
That's an amazing model.
Yeah, that was John's.
John.
John made it. You don't like my chair? It's not quite as complex, but.
I like the chair.
Thank you.
You could put the dragon in the chair.
There you go. So.
It's not playing nice.
Is there any other questions we want to address before we have our door prize raffle? We're going to stick around afterwards, so even after the have a I guess we have 3. Yeah, we'll start at the training certificate for a free 4-hour training class, in which these are the ones where that are listed on our website. 4 hours training. We have 3 of them to give away, so we can start off with those.
Dig in, Chris. Good. What's the number?
With a number?
2726. And the last 4 digits of the number.
I got it.
Oh, there we go.
I rigged it.
There you go. There you go. We'll trust you on that.
Okay.
2 more. Okay. Dig in, Chris.
That's gonna be me again.
No. 2702.
All right, there's our second winner. All the information you need to know is on there, so. One more.
There you go. That really is black and white, isn't it?
Yeah, that is very black and white.
2718.
Hey, there we go. All sorts of free training. Now, the next one we have is a free training too, but this is a personal one-on-one training. Those are the blocks where you're sitting in class with some other people and go some training. This is one-on-one training. So whatever you want to cover, any topic, personalized for whatever you want to do for 4 hours.
2700.
There we go.
2700.
There you go. Congratulations. All right, we got 2 more prizes here. This is a full professional license of Bonsai 3D, which will soon be FormZ Junior. So FormZ Junior has some new tools and features in it, so we're just changing the name for our product line.
2713.
713. There you go. Full license of Bonsai 3D. There you go. Congratulations. And last but not least,
So with Bonsai, you begin with the free version, and then if you like it, then you can buy FormZ Junior Bonsai for the half price. And then if you like that, you can upgrade to the full. You don't have to
Correct.
keep buying each level. You can just do upgrade prices, right? So if you want to add more tools, then.
Oh, there's Oliver Joel.
Yeah.
Yes,
Look at
nice stuff, but it's, yeah, no color, it's gone.
Yeah, he has a lot of color in there. It's
He does have a lot
rich
of
color
color in there.
illustration.
Squint and imagine color.
Imagine color.
so this is a full pro FormZ license going to,
2711.
hey, all right.
Yay!
All right, congratulations.
Oh, congratulations. Well, it's obvious that this maybe needs to be dovetailed into our class schedule somehow. Let Casey Bernay know about it, who's our education. You 2 gentlemen have probably spoken to directly.
Do you care to make an announcement about your plans?
Yeah, actually,
Yes,
with Microdesk, which is your training partner.
Right.
So this year we kicked off an initiative for a number of training sessions. Next year we're looking to expand, probably triple the amount of days to cover things that we did not get to on different tools such as FormZ. So looking forward to that. That will be happening next year. Yeah. And in the meantime, also we'll start kicking off open vendor classes.
Right.
Our facilities here in LA, but as you know, the ones that are provided here are free of charge
Right.
to you.
free to the membership.
Exactly.
So, and those will begin again in November. October has been a small hiatus, but it starts in November again. And I just want to thank Chris and Matt for coming this morning. Giving us an overview, and I also would like to thank John and Rob and Oliver for also sharing. And they will be around so we can continue the conversation. There's plenty of food on the table. Help yourself. It's like breakfast dovetailed into lunch, and there's plenty of food. Help yourselves and enjoy each other's company.
And take a look at Oliver's portfolio here. There's plenty of color.
Actually, that's John's. That's John's. Oliver's is on the screen, and I can pull it up on my iPad if you want to see it there. So, perfect. Wonderful. Thank you all for coming.